and the car itself. Everybody thought it was kind of silly to build that Hemi and put it on the stand and not do anything with it. Well, it's for you guys out there who got mad about that. Now we got a Pro Stock car. Now you can complain about how we have a 426 Hemi and a Pro Stock car and we don't actually race it. Sorry, I just find that really amusing. So anyways, guys, gals, everybody, hope you enjoy. Welcome back, everybody. Jet Scott here from Scott's Speed Shop. Well, I want to thank you for checking on the video. And the video you're about to watch is all in preparation for telling you more about this guy. A real acid dip body and white Pro Stock Challenger. And as a funny coincidence, it's one of those things you never think you'd own. I spent 4 years of my life, some of you might remember, building an actual twin plug Pro Stock Hemi. And that was just my whole thing, was building the engine for one of these old Pro Stock cars. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Happened to have an old 426 block that was a Pro Stock engine and originally a Super Stock Barracuda engine. And, well, it was a little modified, to say the least. And never figured we'd have a car, let alone a race car for such an engine. And never really planned on racing the engine either. But by circumstances, and some of you guys are waiting for the Challenger video, and that's what this is all about, is while I was getting ready to edit the video on the Castaldo Pro Stock car, which is, you know, you guys have seen any of our short videos, that's all YouTube really promotes anymore, so I did a couple shorts showing off this thing. It's real acid dip, body in white, built by Sox Martin for Charlie Castaldo out of Scarsdale, New York. Original acid dip steel doors, acid dip quarter panels, roof, foam line, full cage, full chassis. Anyways, while I was working on the video for this old girl, I stumbled across an old video of the Pro Stock Hemi while I was looking for a clip of it running to throw in. And I found a whole daggone video that I had filmed at our old house before we moved when I was trying to appease the one angry neighbor, because every other neighbor loved the thing and our other race car, the Barracuda we ended up building. And but I had one neighbor who didn't like it. And so spent some money on a lot of different things and tried to make the engine quieter. So that is this video. I hope you enjoy it. And in preparation for the big video on the review of our Pro Stock acid dip body and white Challenger and the adventure and all the stuff that goes along with it. So I hope you guys enjoy this video of the old Pro Stock 426 Hemi that will eventually find its way into the Fun City Flyer. So please join me as we go back in time when the Pro Stock was sitting on the stand ready to rock and roll. Welcome back, guys. Jet Scott here with Scott's Speed Shop as always, and today, oh, Pro Stock Hemi. Let's take a look at her. Oh, I'm dizzy now. It's hot. Big thunderstorm last night. It's over 100 degrees today. But both distributors are wired. I know this is a mess. This wire is not where it's supposed to be. Whoops. When I was checking compression and everything, you'll notice valve cover leaky a little bit. It's okay. The engine's running about 100 psi oil pressure when it's cold, and it drops down to about 80 when it gets warmed up. So revisions. No more oil filter out front. This has got a remote setup because that old gasket was leaking in between the front of this cover and the oil filter is an adapter, and that green gasket was blowing oil out. So we went to a remote setup filter to an Oberg filter out back. Still got a leak out in the rear main. We're going to fix that. Well, we need to fix that, but that's not going to prevent me from running the engine. We do have a slight issue though that means this engine will probably have to come apart at some point. It's nothing like super bad, but it's bad. Number 5 cylinder there's a tiny porosity hole that opened up, and it allows just a tiny droplet of water to get through. And it's nothing major. The engine's sitting for a couple of days. It'll have like 3 or 4 drips inside the header. That'll have to get fixed. But as far as head gasket seal, we're good. So I had to pull the carburetors apart. Found some issues when I was rebuilding them. I must have got busy or distracted. I don't know. It's my fault. I have fixed the metering blocks, so these things are running good. We're not running it on this. This is our second distributor, technically our secondary, because everything's tied up on this one. But this one's not timed in yet, so we're not going to mess with that today. What we're doing today is we're going to fire this thing up for you guys on 112. I think it'll be the first time on camera it'll be running on 112. We did break this Jakes gauge, as you can tell. It is stuck on the peg there. It's broken because it only goes to 100, and when you rev it when it's kind of cold, it breaks the spring and goes on over. So we have this not working, but Dad's letting us borrow his 1000 PSI gauge there. That's how we know what our oil pressure actually is. This thing's had an oil change on it. Oil's good, nice and clean as it should be. Had a little bit of stuff in there, but that's to be expected, but nothing major. Engine's got good bill of health, other than, you know, that one cylinder. We're not going to worry about that. So we're going to fire this thing up for you as it is, and then we're going to bolt these on and see if we can see a sound difference. Now, what's inside of these is what's special. So we've used these before in side pipes or augers to try and tone it down a little bit, because this thing is deafening loud. Like, I love it. I wouldn't change it, but the neighborhood wants it changed. Well, one neighbor wants it changed. The rest of the neighborhood doesn't seem to mind. But we're going to see if we can get an audible difference on camera, and I'll let you know my opinions in person. So, enough blabbering. Let's set you guys up and get this big beast fired. Start our checks, our procedures. Starting with key to the kingdom right here. Jesus, please allow this Hemi to start up and run and not have the cops called on us. Amen. Say a prayer, sir. Oh, and don't let the engine blow up. All right. So, first things first, make sure fuel is doing what it's supposed to. Which it is. Ignition. There is that clip. Now I'm going to bolt the extensions on with the augers. Let's see how she sounds. Alrighty, they're bolted on. By the way, those are Jigs branded. They're about half the price of the actual hooker ones. If you want to get us, I think they're like 60 bucks. Really nice. Those are 3.5 inch collector extensions, about a foot long. So we'll see what it does. By the way, that paint is just house paint. There's regular rattle can. It ain't high heat. I plan on it burning off. Okay, she's not happy somewhere. Okay, everything's cooled off. Let's just, don't mind my janky starter here, my little button having some issues. Well, I want to thank you for going down that little trip down memory lane with me. That was a nice day to remember. Firing up the Pro Stock open headers, oh, that was always, oh yeah. And then even putting the augers on it, that was definitely interesting. It did not want to start with those, I'll tell you that much. And it did not like the back pressure, shall we say. But I'm hoping someday, and I know, I'm not going to say hoping, there will be a day when this old beast is running again and thumping. Got a dragster pan for it. In fact, been working on gathering parts, making new side plates. Did a video on that, out of 1/2 inch thick aluminum, or 1/4 inch thick, instead of the old, yeah, those guys. That's the old plates. Underneath those plates is the water jackets where it had a freeze crack because they milled the sides of the block completely smooth, as you can see. In fact, well, you know, this may actually be the first time this has been seen on camera, actually, me removing the plate. So that's what it looks like. This is the old original plate, and we put a gasket on here with a little bit of silicone, and that's what it's sealed up with. I had a lot of people who didn't think that was going to seal. And I had a lot of faith in those guys who made that. But yeah, they milled down the engine, the sides of the block. Reportedly, they get about 45 pounds of iron off these things doing this operation. And you'd have to really see what the side of a Hemi block looks like. It looks a lot like a 440 to understand how much material was really removed here, and to understand just how thin all the iron is here. Well, I just pulled a little chunk off. But yeah, even the threaded holes right there where the motor mounts used to go, they did everything they could. They took this stuff very seriously. This was their livelihood. This is how they made money sometimes. I mean, to go along with that, I mean, some of these things, like this one, we had the Hillborn, or you can call it the Ram Charger, or even what I like to call is the Landy perpendicular distributor drive, which is what you saw in the little video, where you got a Hillborn fuel pump mounted where the distributor goes, and then you got one Chrysler distributor going off of it as an extension, then another one that just comes off secondary that runs your B plug. And then you also got the parallel drive on twin plug ignition, where you got the 2 magnetos or 2 distributors side by side. You'll see that real commonly on a lot of the Sox and Martin stuff. Or by the later years, they were running the Excel dual distributor drive, which is actually, they're not distributors, they're just flying. It's actually the invention, or the first time that crank trigger was properly used. In fact, the Chrysler crank trigger system that was used on the Hemis, the twin plug Hemis, is almost identical to how modern cars are set up, especially modern Hemis. The way the crank trigger system is mounted and the way the actual sensors are, I mean, it's pretty cool stuff they came up with back in 71, 70, somewhere in that range, 71, 72, call it that. And I actually have one of those units. In that box down there, I am working on restoring, and I've got videos on that, because this twin plug ignition thing is incredibly fascinating to me. I don't think it's that daggone complicated. I mean, I literally just have the little cross piece of the Excel unit. I would show it to you, but it's a pain in the butt to dig out. But I want to do videos on it. There might be, I figure there's got to be at least 1 or 2 other guys out there who share my common interest with twin plug ignition. Because it's kind of fascinating. It's incredibly simple, really. And it does help. The only thing it doesn't help with is the extra set of wires and, well, the complexity of it sometimes. I know I just said it's simple, but there's extra stuff to it. There are things you can and can't do. And I plan on, when I restore my Excel drive, I'm going to make it better than what Chrysler and Excel did back in the day. So, hopefully someday I'll get to show you all that. We'll get her finished up. We'll have ourselves hopefully a face-plated A33. That is my goal, is for Castaldo's Fun City Flyer. To once again have a 4-speed in her, because from my paperwork, this thing he tried with an automatic, he even tried with a clutch flight, and eventually he went to the 4-speed because it was just the only thing strong enough that wouldn't give up the ghost when you needed a dependable race car. Because it's one thing to modify, and I'm just speaking on personal experience here, it's one thing to take a 440 and shove into a car called a race car and build the 440 up. It's completely another thing to take a 426 Hemi and grind the block down to smithereens and offset stroke the crank and do aluminum rods and twin plug ignition and all that other stuff, which actually we did the twin plug ignition on that engine technically. But I mean, to go through all of that work, it's kind of like buying or buying a body in white, then sending it off to Sox Martin, having them acid dip it, build you a full chassis, and then all of a sudden Chevrolet, they keep complaining enough that your brand new E-body race car is basically no longer any good because Chevrolet had to go and run their mouth a whole bunch because their Vegas were getting their asses stomped. So the small block Chevy took over in Pro Stock, and unfortunately for Charlie, his Pro Stock car that ran a 918 at 145 mile an hour was not technically fast enough to keep up in 1973. Can you believe that? 918. How fast this little puppy was moving. Don't seem like real fast anymore to a lot of guys. A lot of guys can do that stuff with a street car nowadays, let alone a completely gutted, fully made machine like this. So yeah, someday, guys, I hope to have the Hemi in here, have this thing to where we can fire it up just like that Barely Cuda and take it out if we so choose. And of course, this thing, I actually, to be honest with you, there's not too many cars I want to restore, really. That's one of them I want to. Because there ain't too many cars that have a quote-unquote factory paint job that looks like Charlie's Fun City Flyer channel. So, this is a long dream, a long plan. This is not going to be something you're going to see weekly updates on, I promise you that. I wish I could, but I ain't that cool and I ain't got that kind of money. Even if I had that kind of money, it would still take a time to put this thing back into any kind of shape. The chassis is good, it's still certified actually, and the body is in the shape that you would expect an acid dip race car to be in. That's as old as this one is. But the fact is that it's all there. And I'm looking forward to showing the video and the road trip of this thing, going to get it, because it's been actually over a year now since we bought the car, and it's still one of those things we come out here and see that thing and just go, damn, I can't believe we have that. It's kind of like looking here, seeing Jezebel, seeing Dad's Charger. It's just, I don't know how to say it. Just gonna say, incredibly blessed, and I want to thank every single one of you who watches these videos still. YouTube's algorithm thing, or whatever, however YouTube works anymore, everything's going towards short form videos, and it's not what we're gonna do. This channel, it's nice to make a little bit of money on YouTube, but that's not our primary goal. It would be nice to actually make a little bit of money off of YouTube for once to help pay for some of this stuff, but these are just our dreams, and this whole channel is about Dad and I having fun together and sharing our experiences with everybody there at home. Hopefully maybe get someone out in their garage putting something together, because, well, this is a hell of a lot cheaper than drugs, alcohol, women, dudes, if that's your thing. There's a lot of things you could do that cost a hell of a lot more money and don't bring you as much happiness, potentially. Guys, gals, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for watching, as always. I look forward to seeing you guys again here sometime soon with whatever we decide to poke our heads at next. So, as always, guys, thank you, and look forward to seeing you next time. As always, take care, and bye-bye. Fun City Flyer. For now.